Hello, and welcome to The Big Answer, the single biggest answer to life's biggest questions. I'd like to invite you to consider an entirely new approach to explaining the objective basis for value judgments, what is good or bad, that works for every living thing on the planet, and even works for systems of living things, from ecosystems to relationships to businesses to societies. This includes explaining concepts such as morality, meaning, purpose, fulfillment, etc. This same answer also explains what works in reality, which, among other things, means it explains what evolution is selecting for. Finally, it also provides a better, more pragmatic definition of truth. That's obviously not answering every big question we have, but it's quite a few quite important questions considering it's just a single answer. The goal of these videos is not to prove that this explanation works, just show that it can and does work beautifully well, that it's a complete and elegant solution to these questions, and is worthy of further study and exploration. Before we get started, a bit of housekeeping. If you'd rather skip this and go straight to the content, jump to 4 minutes 34 seconds. This is the first time I'm putting this model out into the world. My goal at this point is to get feedback to help refine the model, as well as my explanations, analogies, examples, definitions, etc. This model is completely based on logic and reason, and is an explanation for what we see in reality. It is not just one person's opinion of how things should be. It's descriptive, not prescriptive. No single concept in this model is difficult to understand, but there is a lot of information to cover. To help, I've made a lesson plan and divided the info into what I've called books with chapters. Each book is a higher level of detail. So book 1 is an introductory level that gives a quick overview of the core concepts and provides a big picture of what the big answer is, how it's different from other approaches, how it works for all life or systems of living things, and why it works where other approaches have failed. Book 2 goes into more detail of the topics covered and adds a few more important concepts with examples that show how this model explains what we currently see in the world. Books 3 and 4 get progressively deeper and more advanced, go into strategies of implementation, and look at what applying this model might look like in the future. This is the best approach I can come up with, but it means that, especially at the beginning, almost every sentence will likely elicit a stream of questions and/or reasons you think something I've said doesn't quite work or only works in narrow circumstances. I am fully aware of this, and I'd also find this incredibly frustrating. But until someone invents thought transfer like with Vulcans or Paul, or brain downloads like in The Matrix, we're both going to have to accept the limitations of linear time and language. It means I've had to make hard decisions about what information to give up front and what to leave for later discussion. This is so that you don't need to spend hours wading through every concept before you even have an idea of what the entire model is and why it works. Your feedback will hopefully help me refine this approach. Once it seems like I have enough feedback to make a final version of it all, I can spend more time on polished versions of the videos and also start writing books and developing online courses. Lastly, I'm using an AI voice and video generator so that I can get these videos uploaded quickly. Since I don't expect these videos to be the final version, I'm picking a method of making videos that I can easily update based on the feedback I receive. To make a change in a video, I can simply edit the text, regenerate the video using the AI voice, and upload it. So you'll likely see Book 1, Chapter 5.3 in the future, which means it's the third update/revision of that chapter. If you've already watched a past video, you probably don't need to go back and watch the revised version unless you want to, and let me know if it's better. Just know that this is why it will show up as a new, unwatched video if you're subscribed. With that out of the way, let's get on with the intro. People have already figured out there's only one objective thing we can base good and bad on, and that's existence. Reality keeps things that have the qualities necessary to keep existing and terminates things that don't. It's the only example we have of reality acting like it's passing judgment on what it wants to see more of and what it wants to get rid of, giving an objective template to base our own value systems on. Evolution provides an objective mechanism that selects for those organisms whose subjective values and instinctual preferences are most in line with supporting their ongoing existence. This means that over time, organisms, including humans, evolve subjective values and instinctual preferences more in line with their survival. But survival alone doesn't quite work. While explaining our value systems, using existence does explain why wearing a seatbelt is good. A healthy diet and exercise are important, cooperation for mutual benefit is a sound strategy, etc. It doesn't explain things like art, music, fantasy novels, collectibles, or spirituality. Things we value greatly even when they have nothing to do with existence. Further, we put a value on people altruistically sacrificing themselves for a greater good, which is completely opposite to the idea that we can base good on things that help us exist. So does this mean existence doesn't work as an explanation? The big answer overcomes all of these shortfalls and incongruencies simply by taking it one step further and breaking down the qualities that are objectively necessary to exist. We'll cover exactly what these 7 qualities are in the next video. Since these qualities are, in fact, necessary to exist, it makes sense that we would evolve to appreciate them. But once we do so, we don't know to stop appreciating them when they no longer apply to our survival. So when we see them in art, music, fantasy novels, collectibles, and spirituality, we still see them as good. Further, we can appreciate that these qualities are manifested more in something we see as a greater good than what we can achieve ourselves as individuals, and therefore understand on an intuitive level that these qualities will be best achieved by sacrificing ourselves for that greater good when necessary. These qualities are the goal of everything every life form does. For example, when we create rules, they are to enhance, protect, or preserve these qualities in society. To the extent they do that, they are good rules. When they do the opposite, they're bad rules. If they do it most of the time, but in a specific circumstance, following the rules would undermine these qualities, then that's precisely the time to bend or break the rules. The big answer doesn't care what the rules are specifically and offers no guidance on these, or what social norms we create, or what our subjective preferences are, as long as they generally increase these qualities. This means we can have a massively wide range of equally valid subjective preferences and pick between a plethora of lifestyles to find one that clicks with us. Further, different qualities can be achieved in different ways, and since it's the total of all the qualities that matter, it's possible to put emphasis on different ones and still achieve the same overall score at the end of the day. A hermit living off-grid in the woods achieves these qualities in vastly different ways than a business exec who achieves these qualities quite differently than a 7-year-old. In fact, since the big answer explains evolution, every organism represents a different way of achieving the 7 qualities. Evolution has not resulted in a single, best organism, quite the opposite. Similarly, if humanity applied the big answer to its fullest, it would result in a huge diversity of mutually beneficial ways of living life. In this way, the big answer explains the goal of every living thing, and yet also proves that fundamentalism or idealism or dogmatic beliefs or rules don't work to achieve this goal. So by focusing on the qualities necessary to exist, rather than just existence itself, we can overcome all of the shortfalls of previous attempts to base value judgments on existence. These qualities also explain meaning, purpose, and fulfillment, and define our legacy, among other things. We each have these qualities inherently. Therefore, we all have inherent meaning, supporting the ideas of individual rights, freedoms, respect, and autonomy. Since we all have different interests, skills, and preferences, and since there are so many ways of achieving the qualities in this model, the big answer supports the idea of each person finding a way to increase these qualities in unique ways that bring them joy and maximize personal expression. When that individual pursuit enhances the qualities for others in the world, that makes us even more valuable, meaningful, and good for each other, and our pursuits also become our self-defined purpose. To the extent we achieve an increase in the qualities, that gives us a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. When this increase carries on after us, that defines our legacy. A world where we maximize the qualities of the big answer would be a world where each person is supported in bringing out the very best in themselves in their own unique way, which then adds to their society and the world as a whole, and where every organism and ecosystem on the planet thrives in mutually beneficial and self-reinforcing ways. There are so many more things the big answer explains. It's impossible in a brief overview to explain how the big answer achieves all this, but hopefully that intrigues you enough to continue watching videos where we explore what the qualities are and how they achieve all these goals. Finally, knowing what the goal of life is, and that answer being completely logic-based, objective, real-world, and universal, could be the most important piece of knowledge we ever learn. Most importantly, I feel this is coming at the perfect time for the advent of artificial general intelligence, as it is a well-known limitation that we don't know how to make AGI understand what good is, and I believe this logic-based model is the solution to that problem. You'll notice this video was titled Book 1, Intro. Please go through the lesson plan at least roughly in order and watch all the Book 1 videos before moving on to Book 2 and so on. There are also random videos that are not part of the lessons that can be watched anytime, though many may only make sense if you've already gone through the lessons. The next video is Book 1, Chapter 1, The 7 Qualities. I'll see you there, and in the meantime, do good smart.